It was a crisp autumn evening when Emily decided to leave work early. Lately, she had been feeling a growing distance between herself and her husband, John, and she hoped surprising him with a home-cooked meal might rekindle some warmth in their marriage. As she drove home through the quiet streets, she pictured his smile, the way he used to pull her into a hug that made everything feel right. But when she slipped through the front door, her keys barely jingling, she heard his voice drifting from the bedroom, low and secretive. "I can't wait to see you tonight," John murmured, his tone soft and intimate in a way that made Emily's stomach twist into knots. Her heart thudded in her chest. Who was he talking to? She stood frozen in the hallway for a moment before forcing herself to move. Clearing her throat loudly, she called out, "John, I'm home." There was a pause. Too long, she thought, before John appeared in the doorway, his phone still clutched in his hand. "Hey, you're early," he said, flashing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Who were you talking to?" Emily asked, her voice trembling despite her effort to sound casual. "Oh, just Mark from work," John replied, his gaze sliding away from hers. "We're finalizing some details for the project." Emily nodded, wanting to believe him, but the way his fingers tightened around the phone, the slight quiver in his voice, planted a seed of doubt she couldn't ignore. Over the next few days, that doubt grew into something unshakable. John started coming home later, claiming overtime at the office. His phone, once left carelessly on the kitchen counter, now had a password and never left his side. When they sat together in the evenings, the silence between them felt heavy, his usual warmth replaced by distraction. Emily tried to push the suspicions away, but they clawed at her mind. She remembered the early years of their marriage, the laughter, the late-night talks, and wondered where it had all gone. One evening, when John texted her yet again about working late, Emily made a choice. She grabbed her keys and drove to his office, her palms sweaty against the steering wheel. The parking lot was nearly empty, his car nowhere in sight. Her heart sank, but she wasn't ready to give up. She drove to a small restaurant nearby, one he'd mentioned liking, and parked across the street. Through the fogged-up window, she saw him, John, sitting at a corner table with a woman she recognized, Sarah, his co-worker. They were laughing, their heads bent close, and then John reached across the table and took Sarah's hand. Emily's breath caught in her throat, a sharp pain slicing through her chest. She watched, tears blurring her vision, as the truth settled in. She drove home alone, the hum of the engine drowned out by the storm of betrayal raging inside her. Hours later, John walked through the door, his tie loosened, a faint smile on his face that vanished when he saw Emily sitting on the couch, her eyes red and swollen. "What's wrong?" he asked, his voice laced with concern that sounded hollow to her ears. "I saw you," Emily said, her words shaking as they spilled out. "With Sarah, at the restaurant. Don't lie to me, John. I saw you holding her hand." His face went pale, the color draining from it as if she'd struck him. "Emily, I can explain," he began, but she cut him off, her voice rising. "Explain what? That you've been cheating on me? How long has this been going on?" John sank into a chair, running a hand through his hair. "A few months," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm so sorry, Emily. I never meant to hurt you." The room seemed to shrink around them as Emily's anger erupted. "Then why? Was I not enough for you? Did our marriage mean nothing?" John looked down, guilt carving lines into his face. "I've been feeling lost," he said, "like we were drifting apart. Sarah was just there. It was a mistake, and I hate myself for it." Emily stared at him, her tears falling freely now, each one a testament to the trust he'd shattered. Across town, Sarah sat in her dimly lit apartment staring at her phone. She'd known getting involved with John was wrong. He was married, and she had her own boyfriend who deserved better. But the stolen moments, the thrill of their secret, had pulled her in. Now, as the guilt gnawed at her, she wondered if the price of her choices was about to come due. Back at home, Emily and John sat in a silence that felt like a chasm. After what seemed like hours, Emily spoke again, her voice quieter but still raw. I don't know if I can forgive you, John, but I also don't know if I'm ready to let us go. John looked up, a flicker of hope in his tired eyes. I want to make this work, he said, reaching for her hand. I know I've hurt you, and I don't expect you to trust me again right away, but I'll do whatever it takes. Emily studied his face, searching for the man she'd once promised her life to. I want to believe you, she said softly, but it's going to be hard. We need help, John. Maybe a therapist. He nodded, squeezing her hand gently. Anything you want. I just don't want to lose you. Emily returned the pressure, a fragile thread of hope weaving between them. I don't want to lose you either, she whispered. Let's try.